All right. Happy Friday, everybody.
Happy
Hey,
Friday.
what's
And
up?
welcome to the back catalog listening party. My name is Mother Banjo, one of your hosts.
My name is Anthony Ihrig, the other host.
And
And
today we have joining us from Nashville, Dan Eubanks.
yay, I'm
Yay!
so excited.
And we got folks joining us. Alan joining us from Texas. Yay, Friday Dry Day. Earl Grey today. What?
Mm,
Normally G&T guy. But hey, whatever you got to do to make it through, Alan. And then Gary, Line and Kugel, Creamy Dark. Nice.
Nice.
Keeping it Minnesota. Connie from Richfield and Chris drinking beer, of course. And I'm
you got
drinking
here,
beer
Chris.
today too. I don't always, but
What do you got there?
I got a Bell's Porter.
Ooh, that's
Yeah,
Nice.
I love that one.
yeah, it's good. So what are you all drinking?
Dan, what do you got?
Oh,
What do you got?
I've got a Yingling Pilsner in a big red truck cooler from Winfield 2013. So
Perfect. Now
yeah,
that's a bluegrass festival in a can there.
that's right.
Well,
And what do you got,
I'm staying
Tony?
local again. I still have some of the Ewald the Golden from the Uda Pills Brewery, right here in Minneapolis. It's like a European style wheat beer, and it's perfect
Ooh,
for the
Hot
the
day.
80-degree temperatures in my studio today.
Yeah, it is pretty steamy here in Minneapolis. I think we were talking right before we came on that I think Nashville has pretty much the same weather that we do right now. So,
yeah, it sure seems that way. Golly.
yeah. Well, Joe's joining us too from sultry South Minneapolis with JP. That would be a John Prine, vodka and ginger ale.
All right.
And yes, let us know where you're checking in from. Again, the this show, as some of our regulars know, is where we invite different guest artists on to revisit old records, talk about them, and answer your questions. So feel free to chime in and share your thoughts as we go today. And we're excited to have Dan on the show because this is the second member of Special Consensus, I think, to be on the show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Greg was on a while back, right? Yeah,
Greg
yeah,
Cahill.
And
yeah.
so a lot of people watching, especially from our kind of regular viewers who know us in our little bluegrass world, will know Dan from Special C, but you might not know that Dan is a songwriter and has put together solo records, and that's why we're here today. And for those folks that haven't heard that side of your music, Dan, would you mind just giving a brief bio of, how your musical life started and what led to this record we're going to listen to today.
Sure. Well, musical life started a long, long time ago in St. Louis, where I'm from, and my mom was insane and bought me a drum set when I was about 5. So,
God bless her.
and yeah, yeah. So she encouraged me a lot, and I lost her 2 years ago, and she's just always around though. So she's the one that got me going in the music thing and encouraged me the whole way. So eventually, after going to college and getting a degree in jazz studies on the upright bass, after a whole bunch of other musical experiences along the way, I decided to move to Nashville. We listened to a lot of bluegrass and country and folk music in my house when I was a kid, so I was always listening. My grandparents would take me to bluegrass festivals around the St. Louis area, starting in the early '70s probably. So I've been involved in it, but I took a big detour deeply into the jazz world for a long time and taught and did the whole college thing. But I decided to move to Nashville and try to chase down some kind of a niche, a niche, whatever you want to say, in the roots music world, bluegrass, Americana,
Nice.
blues, whatever. So I've been doing it all, and eventually I ended up um, as a bass player for Special Consensus through a lot of different little channels. And the whole time I was writing music, and I wanted to come to Nashville to be a songwriter, and thought I would just play bass try to pay the bills. And the bass really kind of took over. I'm probably a better bass player than I am a songwriter, but I always work hard at it and try to do some cool stuff along the way. And I try not to do the expected as much as I possibly can. So that's a little bit about that. And this record was just odds and ends that I had and things that interest me. Some of it's really hardcore bluegrass, and some of it really ain't. So.
And where does this fall? Had you put out other solo albums before this one?
Yeah, I did. I put out the first record I put out on my own. Well, I had a funk band I was in St. Louis that I wrote all the material for, and we put out a record and worked a lot around the St. Louis area. And then I've been on a few jazz records after that, and my first my songwriting record really. As far as roots music goes, was a record called Dyed in the Wool, which is available on my Bandcamp site, just only on digital. But that's where I first moved to town and first came across Chaz Williams, who's been my partner in crime on the dobro and guitars and producing and engineering everything I've done down here. And I wouldn't have anything out if it wasn't for him. So, or I might, but it wouldn't be as much, and it wouldn't be as cool. That's for sure.
Yeah, he's all over this record. Yeah.
Yes, he is. He's prominent. He's my right hand man on this stuff, and I've worked on his records. He's worked on mine, and we've kept each other afloat for a long time in different ways. Mostly moral support, and every once in a while we throw each other some work. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to make my own. Bluegrass record that had a few twists and turns on it, and something I enjoy doing is it's a little bit of what you expect and a bit of what you don't. So,
well, it does have some twists and turns, folks. I've really enjoyed listening to it, prepping for the show, and Chris chimes in that his wife is a bass player. She's really excited to have a fellow bass player on, and I do think that is worth noting. For everyone out there listening, I think there's something, I think you come at it from a unique perspective as a bass player. I think there's some really interesting things for folks to listen to, and we'll be talking about. But maybe we should just dive right into the music.
Cool.
And let people hear from themselves. The first track we have lined up here is Look What the City's Done, the title track. Anything you want to say about this before we dive into it, or do you want to talk about it afterwards?
Well, I will say real quickly that this is sort of the theme of the record in one way or another. And it's got John Cowan singing tenor on it. So
Newgrass Revival for folks who are familiar.
Yeah, not too shabby.
Not too shabby. We'll talk about the other cats on the backside. How about that?
That sounds perfect. And I can't wait to dive in. This is Dan Eubanks. Look What the City's Done on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
What the city's done to me, you'd hardly recognize a boy that left at 17. Well, it's made me hard and it's made me mean. Look what the city's done to me. I was just a small town boy to roam, I never cared. Till one day I heard the lonesome whistle split the air. Then I caught the wanderlust that's with me to this day. Northbound, the city far away. Look what the city's done to me. You hardly recognize the boy that left at 17. Well, it's made me hard and it's made me mean. Look what the city's done to me. Magic, like living in a dream. Freedom to go anywhere and do most anything. It only took a little while till I was deep in debt, from hanging around the racetracks and pool halls losing bets. Look what the city's done to me. You'd hardly recognize the boy that left at 17. But it's made me fast and it's made me lean. Look what the city's done to me. slow down at the curve. I'll jump before the next stop, working up the nerve. Just before the sunrise, I'll be in Denver town. Time to start all over, can't keep around or down. Look what the city's done to me. You'd hardly recognize the boy that left at 17. Well, it's made me fast and it's made me lean. Look what the city's done to me. Look what the city's done to me. Look what the city's done to me.
Yeah. All right. Dan Eubanks here on the Back Catalog Listening Party
Hot
with
stuff.
Look What the City's Done to Me, the title track to his 2019 release, which we are revisiting today. Dan is joining us from Nashville. And that song, have to ask, autobiographical?
Elements of it, sure. 'Cause I definitely, even though I'm from St. Louis, I grew up most of my childhood and high school and early college years in a very small town called Crystal City, Missouri. So, yeah, it's somewhat autobiographical in the fact that I moved to California. I moved to Los Angeles, California. My town was about 3,000 people when I left, and LA's got a lot more than that. So,
well, you mentioned that this was kind of a theme of the record, and I did hear these themes coming up over and over again in some of the songs. Was that an intentional thing, or was that something after you wrote a bunch of songs you said, "Hey, look, there's something a thread here," or was that something that you were intentional about from the beginning of the project?
It was somewhat intentional because the southern migration from the towns and farms and all that from the south and the Appalachian area to the industrial north was fertile ground for musical cross-pollination in the end of the 19th century and into the mid 20th century, and I'm really interested in everything we love kind of comes from that mixture. If you love roots music, all sorts of roots music, so that's something, and and culturally and musically, all of that is extremely interesting to me, and it has echoes into the way we see our country these days too. So I think it's an incredibly important aspect of understanding America and American music and culture. So
absolutely,
for sure.
And that's such a theme in modern bluegrass is, I mean, from the beginning that was very conscious of that kind of old home place, like things have changed. Here we are, moving to Detroit or wherever some of those first generation bluegrassers were moving to.
Yeah, Chicago. All of the industrial kind of what they might call Rust Belt cities these days. A lot of those folks were country folk that came up to work in those factories and brought their music and brought their culture with them. So it's funny when you play in a band from Chicago like I do, that people don't get why there's a bluegrass band from Chicago, and then you have to kind of talk about why. And our newest record, Special Consensus, is all about that as well. So yeah, it's an interesting topic.
Quite a legacy in Chicago and Upper Midwest in general. With that stuff. Now you got the A squad here on this record, and I'd love to just hear a little bit. Like who is playing on that track, and how do you have John Cowan in your Rolodex and just call him up and ask if he'd sing tenor on this? How did this collaboration come to be?
Well, when I started thinking about the record, Chaz Williams, who's playing dobro and is a producer and engineer, he and I have been working for a while, as I said, together on different things, and he was my first call. And I started thinking about if I was going to make a bluegrass record with mostly in-town musicians, who would it be? So I've got great friends amongst the musical community here, and Ned Luberecki is a really good friend of mine who's a wonderful banjo player.
Such a good banjo player.
Of course, we all know about Nedski. So, and then I reached out to a fellow Special C alum, Ashby Frank, to play the mandolin, who has worked with us here and there when we've had need of a fill-in, and he's just a wonderful songwriter, singer, and player and teacher as well. He's good at all of it. You'll see Ashby with the Earls of Leicester sometimes out there as well, and all sorts of different stuff. He's writing for Dale Ann Bradley and all sorts of good stuff. So Ashby's in the middle of a lot of the bluegrass world. And Brandon Bostic, another from Blue Moon, plays guitar on all of the tracks that are more bluegrass oriented. So I had like a core band, and that was it, and me and Chaz. And then we would add in folks to come in and play the kind of auxiliary things like fiddle and that sort of thing. So we had a few different fiddle players. We had Paul Kramer, also a Special C alum, on fiddle on a few tunes, and we had Deanie Richardson as well. So from Sister Sadie, by the way. So yeah, we've got a nice fill of different people on this record. And John Cowan was just one of those things where you walk up to the plate and swing as hard as you can and close your eyes, you know?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how that was for me. Luckily, I have a band leader in Greg Cahill that knows everybody from
Yes.
a life of playing bluegrass.
Speaking about the center of bluegrass, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I've met John a few times in different things, you know, different situations, but it's not like I had his number and felt real comfortable about calling him. But several years ago, I had gotten his email and I sent him a song that's actually on my first solo record, because it seemed like a John Cowan song, and he really liked it and was very kind, and you know, he sent me a note back and explaining that he already had all the songs for his new record, but he really liked the song. So I always kind of kept that encouragement in the back of my mind. And when I started thinking about who was going to sing tenor on the bluegrass numbers, I was like, you know, I might as well start with Cowan. If I can get him,
Start at the top.
that would be incredible. Yeah. So he was really nice, and he's on 3 tracks, I believe. So
Wow.
Which is amazing. So there you go. That's the story of the band.
Well, it's amazing,
wonderful.
and how that must have been amazing to kind of hear your compositions come to life in that way.
Can you imagine just being able to write some stuff and get those people to play? And,
Go
yeah.
with it. Now that kind of brings up another question that I have with a lot of our guests about, you know, the kind of arranging part of all of this. Did you come in with these arrangements set and said, all right, do this, or were you like, all right, Ned, take it away, or did you? How was the arrangement going with this core band of yours?
Well, Chaz and I would do rough tracks of me guitar vocal tracks first to get the basic arrangement, the chart, you know, and we would write the chart out and then bring the band in and whoever else was going to come in, and we'd send out a rough of what we had, a rough recording, just me singing and playing, and then we would bring everybody in with the chart and play it down, and then we'd get in a room and play it together first, and then we'd all talk about, well, how's this, how's that? Do you want to keep doing that, or do you want to do something else? And we would arrange what the solo order was going to be, who was going to take breaks on, and stuff like that. And then we go into our ISO spots and record it. So that's what we did on those tracks where we had everybody playing together at the same time. And then we go in later for other things, like we might overdub fiddles and overdub background vocals and extra vocals and stuff like that. But the core, you know, band recorded stuff live after we would play through it. So we'd usually do 2 or 3 tracks in a day, and get them good. So everybody had input. Those guys, I asked them to do it because they're pros and have been doing it for a really long time and have made tons of records, and I knew that, you know, whatever they had to say was going to be great, and I just trusted them to come up with good stuff, and they did. So
Excellent. Well, speaking of good stuff, looks like Anne's joining us from Minneapolis. She says, "Good afternoon. I may indulge in a beer, nice and cold."
Do
I
that.
All right.
highly recommend it, Anne. At least something cold because it is a steamer out there, and it's going to get hotter as we delve into these tasty bluegrass tracks here on
Right
the Back
on.
Catalog Listening Party. And speaking of that, want to make sure we get in some more music for folks. The next one that you have queued up is "Cattle in the Cane." Is there anything you want to say about this before we dive on in?
Yeah, this is not your grandpa's cattle in the cane. So
It is not.
I'll just say, we'll talk about it afterwards, but it's not gonna be. It was definitely it was inspired by being obsessed with Tony Rice, Tony Rice's Church Street Blues record, and I listened to him play this over and over, and started playing around with it on the bass, trying to learn the melody and trying to take a couple of his solo break ideas as well. But that was the genesis of this, and it quickly got out of hand. So anyway,
It is amazing. Now, folks, for you out listening, yeah, he's playing the upright bass, and he's working out the solo of "Cattle in the Cane," and he's trying to incorporate Tony Rice licks. Yes. Not to mention the percussion, which I can't wait to ask you about afterwards. But let's just dive in and give it a listen. "Cattle in the Cane," like you've never heard it before, from Dan Eubanks here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
Wow. Yeah, that definitely requires the applause.
That might be the first time the applause came out after a
Spontaneously. It's really weird.
Wow.
Dan Eubanks here on the back catalog listening party, Cattle on the Cane in the way that you've never heard it before. And I hope folks did get a cold beverage because it was kind of smoking. I was feeling some sort of Cuban kind of rhythms happening in that. Like I was wanting to dance, which I can't say normally always happens with bluegrass, So, yeah, tell us about, was that just percussion, mandolin, and bass? Were those the only three instruments?
That was it.
It's amazing.
All you need.
Yeah, I really enjoy trio settings. So that was another part of this record besides the core band stuff. That was the majority. Well, actually half, I guess. The rest of the record's kind of these trio and smaller settings that I enjoy a lot because I just like different textures. If I'm making my own records, that's what I kind of like to explore. So, yeah, you definitely heard Cuban in there. That's the Afro-Cuban treatment there. I have been lucky enough to fall in with some fantastic Caribbean musicians and Caribbean style musicians as well. So in Nashville, I was in a band called El Movimiento when I first moved here. We made a record, and the percussionist from that record and one of the band leaders and arrangers is Giovanni Rodriguez, who was just playing the conga on that. And he and I have done many gigs together in different formations, and he's one of my best friends and just a wonderful, wonderful musician. Grammy winning, actually. He's also a fantastic bass player and trumpet player as well. He can do everything. And Isaac Ihrig is playing the mandolin. Isaac also plays the Afro-Cuban style music, as you can hear there. And he's also a fantastic bluegrass mandolin player and a killer composer and arranger on his own. So it's silly the amount of talent that's just hanging around this town, and I've gotten really lucky to fall in with some great people, and I just when I make my own records, I try to pull in different elements of the town that are available to me here. So that's what it's all about for me. I never get to tour this kind of stuff, but when I'm making the records, I'm gonna go as far afield and bring in as many cool elements as I possibly can. So.
Yeah.
I have to ask, on that track, it just sounded like you guys were communicating at the same time. Was that just one room, like you guys sitting around?
Yep.
Playing it live?
Well, the congas were in a different room. Me and the mandolin were in the same room. So yeah, just because of bleed and stuff like that, we couldn't really.
But it was all recorded at the same time. Nothing.
Yes, it was live.
Dubbing in, because that's again not something you always hear these days. It's so much easier to do tracks, separately and email them to each other. But like it really felt like a conversation. That was.
And it really felt like a jazz combo in that way. It really had that improvisational like riff kind of vibe to it. Like I could almost hear this in a like jazz nightclub. So
right on.
It's just interesting.
As Alan says, dog in the cane.
Yeah, I like that.
And Joe said, absolutely outstanding, great arrangement, great balance in the mix. Joe had a great question here. Does the time signature change a bit throughout?
No, it's always in 4. But the thing that's weird about this kind of music that throws most people is that the big accent is on beat 4. So the bass is like going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4. So it's like the end of 2 and 4 is the basic feel. It's called tumbao, and that's what's going on there. And it's moving around all over the place. And in that time when the congas were playing the solo, Isaac and I were playing an ostinato part that was dunk 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 dunk. So we're trying to maintain that the whole time, and G is just going nuts over that. So that is hard to do, and I'd learned how to do that from playing in salsa bands where the timbale and conga players they stretch time all over the place, and you've got to just hold down the part that you're playing, and with very little assistance. So,
wow.
Well, sounds great. And Chris says that was hot, like some studio. Certainly like Tony's studio. He's sweating back there.
I'm
Dude.
trying to make up for it in
Oh man.
Buddha pills.
Appreciate
wow.
you taking one for the team. Thank you.
Oh man, no, this is great. It feels like a festival now. Got the music, got the heat and humidity. So no, that was fantastic. And I want to point out, we're kind of about the midway through the show. For those of you who are new to the show, one of the things we want to do is make sure that these musicians who haven't been gigging a lot in the last year get not only some screen time, but also maybe a little money in their tip jar. And Dan's got a tip jar from Venmo. If you like what you're hearing, you could toss a little bit in there, and we also have a link to his Bandcamp page where you can get this high resolution version of this. It sounds so good in my cans here, and
Cool.
You'll definitely want to get the high resolution version, and that goes. Bandcamp is pretty generous with their cut to the artist. So if you go to daneubanks.bandcamp.com, you can support him directly like that. And I believe Bandcamp also allows you to pay what you want. So, you could buy the record and then
$100 for an album.
Throw a little something extra in there. I know he'd appreciate it, and maybe it'll go a little bit towards that Afro-Cuban bass record that I'm now hoping happens.
It
Yes.
That I really want to hear.
Well, there's a new one cooking right now, so we just started tracks yesterday.
Really?
yeah.
I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah, it's coming. Chaz and I just did our first rough tracks of a John Prine number that's going to be done in a different way than you've heard it. It's one but you won't recognize it completely.
With Afro-Cuban.
No, not that tune.
Okay.
There's a little more of a Celtic flourish with this
All
one.
right.
I love it.
Well, Joe will be happy since he's drinking a John Prine today. So,
right.
he's got his fans here. Well, then we have another track we want to check out from this record, one that you picked out for the show, Land of the Free. Is there anything you want to say about this before we dive on in?
This one, we're back to the core bluegrass band. I talked about a little bit ago. Again, John Cowan singing the tenor. This one is it kind of fits into that theme. It's there's so many songs about the cabin at home and all that stuff in bluegrass, which are wonderful and part of the tradition. And I just wanted to flip that on its head and write a song about a city boy and what he might be dealing with. So there you go, Land of the Free.
All right. Give it a listen here. This is Dan Eubanks, Land of the Free on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
Never had no home in the mountains. I never planted a kernel of corn. Daddy moved up north to the factory in the city where I was born. He did much better at the Ford plant than Grandpa ever did in the mines. By the time I had to earn a living, another way I knew I had to find. Well, I thought this was the land of the free. No one to run my life for me. Don't want to spend my time on a factory floor. Make the boss man rich while the rest stay poor. Make the boss man rich while the rest stay poor. rich while the rest stay poor. Make the boss man rich while the rest stay poor. Well, I thought this was the land of the free. No one to run my life but me. Don't want to spend my time on a factory floor. Make the boss man rich while the rest stay poor. Make the boss man rich and the rest stay poor.
All right.
Yeah.
Dan Eubanks, Land of the Free here on the back catalog listening party. And I want to ask you about that because that is another original. Do you write your songs on the, the bass being your primary instrument? Do you write on the bass? I see a violin back there behind you and maybe a guitar neck. What do you pick up when you are writing a tune?
Always a guitar. Yeah, when I'm writing a song with lyrics and such, it's always the guitar. If I'm going to write something that's more of an instrumental melody type thing, it's kind of a 50-50 thing. If it's going to be a bass feature, I'll start with the bass so I can make sure I can actually play it. And if it's going to be just a kind of standard instrumental, I'll plunk it out on the guitar and make a little demo of it and stuff like that. And if I've got people that are reading musicians, I'll write it out. So it just depends on who's doing it. But I try to get it out to whoever as fast as I can so that they have time to live with it if they're going to work on it. I should mention, by the way, that was a co-write with my friend Tony Rackley, who's a wonderful bluegrass songwriter who's contributed to many records that y'all would know, including Special Consensus records as well. So very, very well known in the bluegrass world. So
and how did that work? Were you working together in the same room, kind of putting it together? Were you trading verses? How does that work with co-writing for you?
Well, this particular co-write was a remote one. So this was before the pandemic, long before the pandemic, and we did it on FaceTime, I guess. And so I had a basic idea. Really, the music for that one came first. Most of it, anyways, the chord progression, because I was playing around with that minor dark kind of thing, and I was listening to a lot of Union Station, and that tempo, that kind of vibe is very attractive to me. So I was kind of going with that and seeing if I could come up with not necessarily something to ape what they do, but I just like that vibe. So I was writing in that vein, and I had maybe the first couple lines of the tune and threw it to Tony, and we just kind of went back and forth for about 3 or 4 hours on lyric stuff, and then I cobbled it together into a whole and sent it back to him, and he was like, "Yeah, that's it." So
Nice.
that's how that one worked out. Yeah.
Very
so
cool.
Also, real quick, I wanted to say, if I could, real fast, happy anniversary to William and Sarah, who I believe are listening. So,
All right. Cheers.
Yeah. Happy
good
anniversary.
friends of Special Consensus and me, and we appreciate you guys so much. Thank you. Have a great day.
That's wonderful. And if folks out there listening have any questions, comments, want to wish them a happy anniversary, any of those things, you can do that in the comments. Joe just simply gave you 4 thumbs up. I don't know how he does that, but that's amazing.
That's how good it was.
Yeah, I was interested in the songwriting because one of the things I noticed, and I don't know if this is your sensibility as a bass player, is that you play a lot with breaks and the space between the music, and I noticed that a lot. Even in that bluegrass kind of driven song, there's a lot of stops and kind of surprises along the way. And is that something you like to play with and you're really conscious of when you're doing an arrangement?
Absolutely. Arranging is to me the funnest part of the whole thing. Besides playing it live, but when you're going in the studio, if you can come up with a way to make a song, not just here's the beginning, here's the end, we go all the way through, we play some breaks, we sing, it's all great. I like to have some rhythmic stops and some stop time type things and all of that, and a lot of that just comes from years of playing lots of different music and paying attention to the arrangements of the songs. As a bass player, that's part of your gig is to really know the arrangement of the song, the underlying bones of the structure, so to speak, and what's getting ready to happen, and making sure that it all comes off clean. And from working with Allison Brown as a producer on all of the Special Consensus records that I'm on, it's amazing to work with somebody like that. So it can't help but sort of seep into how you do things. So that's a big part of it. And Allison had a massive effect on me, working with her that closely every time we make a record. So
Yeah,
very cool.
I love her stuff.
And it looks like Sarah's out there listening. Thanks, Dan. You're the best.
Oh, no, you're the best.
All right.
We love the Love Fest here on Back Catalog Listening Party because
Yes,
this is
we
what
do.
it's all about.
This is why we do it.
It's the only reason we do it is because we miss people and we want to bring people together around music, and whether it's a bass player or even a banjo player,
Even
it
a
all
banjo
happens.
player.
Even a banjo player.
Yeah, and you guys especially, we want to thank everybody who's out there listening too, because that's also why we do it is to connect with you. So if you have questions for Dan, you have I know there's some bass players out there. This is your chance. Shoot away, and I'm sure he'd be happy to talk about his craft.
That's right. And in the meantime, we're going to dig into another tune. Jordan Train is what we have queued up next. Is there anything you want to say about this before we get on board?
Sure. I've always lived in places, and I bet a lot of people that live around cities can relate, where you can hear the barge going down the river and you can hear the train going down the track at night. I've seemed like I've always lived in places where I could hear both of them clearly, and that's the starting point for this, and kind of spun it out from there.
This is another original, correct?
Yeah, this is an original.
All right. Well, let's give it a listen. This is Jordan Train from Dan Eubanks here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
I can't live in a world without the train whistle blowing, the wheels on the rail clicking 2/4 time, Lord, Lord. And I can't live in a world without barges on the river, the rumble of the diesel soothes my restless soul. I bet he'd hop on some old boxcar and lead them chosen people in that land of California, Lord, Lord. And if Jesus was a pilot, he'd never run upon no sandbars. But when the deckhands came ashore, well, they'd help spread the gospel, Lord, Lord.
Yeah, that was Dan Eubanks, Jordan Train, and I don't know. For me, that alone would make me buy the record because
Yeah.
such a great original song, and the arrangement's so cool. It was on the low end was of course so beautiful, and was there some bowed bass happening on there too?
Yes, there was a whole track of bowed, distorted, freaked out bass.
Love the
I was
freaked out
loving that,
bass.
the grit.
Yeah.
On the distortion and some clawhammer banjo in there.
Yeah, Nedski playing the claw hammer.
I
on
was
that.
wondering if that was him. All right.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
And then the
I was-
guitar too. Wow, it felt swampy to me. Like it had a
Yeah.
like a definite bluesy vibe happening with
Yeah.
that.
I believe Chaz played an old National Rezo guitar on that, and of course, and Brandon was playing regular Dreadnought, and Ashby was playing Mando again. He did some really neat rhythmic stuff on there. That tune's more of a chant than a song. It's one chord, and I remember when we made that record, I gave them the chart, and it was like one, riff, one, and
Yeah.
Ashby
Just one
posted
chord.
it on Facebook without the title on it, and somebody said, "What kind of song is that?" I said, "My kind of song."
No, it reminded me of like like a work song essentially. Like it had that kind of
like
rhythm, like you're
working on the railroad.
working on the railroad. Yeah, for sure.
That's the deal.
And,
I had
Linda
to buy.
says great song for bobbleheads.
Yeah, me
'Cause
too.
it does. It's like hypnotic.
Yeah.
That the repetition that comes with the one chord, so
Yeah, the
everything
drone.
that's changing is like rhythmic and other tones and things like that, layers coming in and out. I swear I heard some interesting things with the stereo field too, where things
Yeah.
moving from left to right channel there.
Yes, they were. That was Chaz. That he's the man. He mixed it as well. So, yeah.
Another
that's his
reason to
thing.
purchase it
Yes.
on high resolution files. You can go to Bandcamp, daneubanks.bandcamp.com. Pick it up. It sounds fantastic.
Really
man.
good. Yeah, you might
Thank
just be
you.
listening on a phone or somewhere through your Bluetooth somewhere, but really highly recommended. And it looks like Sarah mentioned there's a great video for this song.
Ah, really?
Oh yeah.
So we'll have to
There
share
is
a link
lyric-
for that.
There is a lyric video, and I can't remember if I sent you guys a link on that or not. But you can find me. I have a YouTube channel.
Cool.
and
We
it's
have
on
a page that we put like kind of show notes, and we will link to that for sure. Now I have to ask, did you get a chance to perform these songs, like to support the release, and did you do any dates with this band? No. What a tragedy. There's still time.
I was going to
Dan.
say you always can.
Yeah,
Anytime.
you should
Yeah.
bring that band up to Minneapolis.
We'll all come, that's for sure.
Cool.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, you never know. Special consensus when pandemics aren't happening usually works about 180 days a year, so it's hard to shoehorn stuff in there. But there's a possibility, and I've got it. Like I said, there's a new record being made, and I'm gonna have like 3 or 4 records worth of stuff to pick from. So anything's possible.
Well, awesome.
Well, we want to make it happen. So you let us know if you need any assistance just from this show alone. I at least eyeballing quickly. We obviously have a bunch of Minnesota folks. We have some Connecticut, some Texas. So we have, we could get dates in
Yeah,
each of
that's
these
right.
places. So
Excellent.
back
Well, I used to
catalog
be in a
tour.
band. I used to be in a band that was based. At least our recordings were all done in Minneapolis. So I've got quite a few friends up in that area, and I really like the town and like the area. So yeah, I bet I could scare a few folks up as well. So.
And you'll be here in August. For those who are listening in real time, this is 2021, and the Minnesota Bluegrass and Old Time Music Association is putting on their big August festival this year, thankfully, and Dan will be there with Special C.
Yay.
And Tony will be there with the high 48s. So
That's
Yes.
right, and Ellen will be there with the
I'll just be
2-year-old.
hanging out. Yeah, exactly.
That'll
I'll be the
fun.
one yelling more banjo.
But we're
from
really
the
excited.
audience.
Well, hopefully we'll get to meet in person.
Yeah, it'll be great.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll pick one.
Yes.
Hope so.
And let's try and squeeze in one more song because I think we can do it, folks.
I think so.
Cool.
And
so, too.
the next one we have queued up is Stormy Horizons. Is there anything you want to say about it?
Yes, this is Special Consensus, Rivers and Roads era. So it's Rick Ferris on guitar and vocal, and Nick Dumas on the mandolin.
Nice.
I'm singing lead, Rick's singing tenor. This is a Jim and Jesse number that I love, and we did it in the band when I first came in, and it was what got me to make a record, was people liking this song. I'm like, maybe if I record this with the band, somebody might buy it. You never know. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's a perfect way to close out the show. This is Dan Eubanks' Stormy Horizons here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
There's stormy horizons in my heart. I scarcely hear the wild winds cry or feel its sudden blast. A greater storm just ripped my world apart. Today you're with somebody new, my hopes are gone at last. There's stormy horizons in my heart. Rain swept and tattered like a rose in the wind. Stormy horizons without and within. You were all that mattered, but you wanted to be free. Now stormy horizons wait for me. Of things as lovely and as frail as roses, dreams are made. But dreams we had, you held so carelessly. They fell like petals round my feet. I saw my rainbow fade. Now stormy horizons wait for me. Rain swept and tattered like a rose in the wind. Stormy horizons without and within. You were all that mattered, but you wanted to be free. Now stormy horizons wait for me. Well, you were all that mattered, but you wanted to be free. Now stormy horizons wait for me.
Had to get the last word in.
Yeah,
Of course,
absolutely.
it's your record, you know.
Uh-huh.
How often does the bass player get to? So
That was
That's
great.
right.
That was a great version of that tune, man.
Well, thank you. We
So-
should also mention Greg Cahill playing banjo on that. I say Special Consensus, and that just means Greg Cahill to me, even if I don't say his name.
he is Special Consensus, and Greg, I was like some like Don Reno-esque stuff
Oh,
there. I
so
loved
good.
it. That sounded so good and appropriate. What a great version of that tune.
wonderful stuff. And if
you.
you like what you're hearing today, you can throw something in Dan Eubanks' tip jar so that he can keep making awesome music and help fund his
And
next
he is,
record
yes,
he's working
on one right now. We learned so.
Yeah.
Hit him up at Venmo at Dan Eubanks -1, or you can go to Dan Eubanks at Bandcamp.com and purchase a record and pay what you want.
And if
Absolutely.
you want to follow his progress on the album or any other news about maybe upcoming shows or any events, you can follow him on Facebook or Instagram. And also, you know, he teaches. So, I know there's some bass players tuned in today. If you want to learn from the best, you can find
Oh,
out more
thanks.
on his website as well. So, this has been so much fun, Dan, having you on the show. What great tunes, arrangements, songs,
I
all of
know,
it.
and what a hidden gem. I think oftentimes when you're busy like you are, playing and teaching and touring around with Special C and things like that, albums like this, that they get lost in the mix. And I'm just so glad that we were able to showcase it here today and have so many other folks hear it. It's wonderful music.
I
Yeah, for
can't tell you how
sure.
much I appreciate it because it is a labor of love. It's completely independent. There was no crowdfunding. There was none of that. It was just me calling on my friends and them giving me a chance to make my music with them and contribute. And you can't ask for more than that. So.
Yeah, for
Well,
sure.
Chris jumps in and says, Dan, thanks for being on the show. We have loved your stories and songwriting skill from a bass player's perspective. It matters, so I know you're doing it. A lot of us, musicians, there's not a lot of monetary reward, but knowing that you're inspiring people out there, it keeps us going. So thanks for that. That
Big
note,
deal. Thank you.
Chris
And
Cameron.
speaking of folks keeping us going, you all keep us going by tuning into the show and sharing it with your friends. If you liked today's episode, then actually like it. Give it the
Yes.
thumbs up on YouTube, and all the bots will direct more things to Dan
To Dan,
Eubanks,
yes.
or direct you to more Dan Eubanks. And then also you can subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can be notified of upcoming back catalog listening party shows. And you'll want that because guess who's on next week?
Who's on next week, Ellen?
Charlie Parr, the one and only
All
Minnesota's
right.
beloved
Yeah, he's a folk
roots
hero.
blues musician. Oh,
yeah, just
amazing. He just got signed to Smithsonian Folkways, and he's going to be
Wow.
revisiting an old record that you might never have heard of. So it's going to be some cool stories on this one. And we're going to have a special after party for our Patreon supporters where he's going to hang out and answer your questions and chat with us all individually. So
And if you've ever seen him live, the guy's got some great stories.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so we'll probably get the special stories after the show.
yeah,
So,
that's right. So if you want to participate in that, you'll need to join our Patreon. This is the group of people that give us a little money every month so that we can keep this show going, help with the platform. And Tony is jonesing to thank these people right now. I can tell.
I sure am. Penny, Ann, Alinda, Bevan, Connie, Vaughn, Alan, Chris, Alex, Becky, Galen, Peggy, Joe, Jim, Beverly, John, Fred, Tim, Sarah, David, Jocelyn, and Court. Thank you all so much
Well done.
Yeah. And-
for keeping this show afloat. Again, like we have to, the StreamYard costs a little money, and we have a website, and we're still hoping to get this into podcast form.
Yep.
And we couldn't do it without your support, and it means so much to us. It started as a pandemic, way to kind of like keep us going.
Coping
and
mechanism.
It's turned into our favorite hour of the week, and it's because of you. Folks showing up, so thank you so much.
Yeah, and if you want to get in on the Patreon thing, then you'll get the invite to that Charlie Parr after party for next week. Again, just join us on Patreon. Thank you so much for joining us, Anne, and I hope you all enjoyed the show. We're going to, of course, be back next week, as we are every Friday at 4, and yeah, thank you so much. This has been so great.
Dan, thank you for taking the time and sharing your time and talents with us here today.
It was my immense pleasure. Thank you both for allowing me to come on your air and do this thing. It's fantastic.
Oh, it's great. And once again, folks, if you're interested in his next record, he mentioned he's pretty active on Facebook, so you can go to dan.eubanks.9. You'll find him there. You'll see, right now I saw your cover art was our back catalog. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I'll do my best.
So that'll be a great place to follow. I know we're excited, and at one day that new record will be back catalog, so maybe we can revisit that one in a little while.
I hope so.
All right. Well, thanks again, Dan, and thanks to all of you for being here. Have a great week. We'll see you next Friday. Charlie Parr
Cheers.
here on the Back Catalog
Dink.
Listening Party. Take care.
Cheers.